Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Comey, welcome. Thank you for your service. I want to talk to you about the IRS targeting of American citizens and what I view as a persistent stonewalling from the administration on this matter. It has been 372 days, just over a year, since President Obama and Attorney General Holder both publicly stated that they were outraged at the IRS's improper targeting of conservative groups and individuals. Indeed, President Obama said at the time he was angry and the American people have a right to be angry. Well, if he was telling the truth that the American people had a right to be angry 372 days ago, the stonewalling and lack of action that has occurred for over a year gives the American people a right to be even more than angry. 1 year ago tomorrow, Lois Lerner, the senior official who led this targeting, pleaded the Fifth in front of the House of Representatives. And yet, despite the passage of time, very little has happened. Nearly a year ago, when you were before this committee for your confirmation, I asked you about this investigation. And you stated at the time it was, quote, a very high priority for the FBI. I'd like to ask you, to date, how many victims or alleged victims of improper targeting have been interviewed by the FBI?
Thank you, Senator. Because it is a pending investigation, and my description of it 10 months ago remains accurate, and a great deal of work has been done by the FBI, but because it's pending, I can't talk about the particulars of the interviews we've done.
Have you interviewed more or less than 10 alleged victims?
I can't say, sir.
Well, you could say that has been the consistent answer of the administration. I can tell you the victims of the targeting keep telling us they haven't been interviewed. And the answer, the pattern we see, when the President of the United States stands up and says the American people have a right to be angry, one, we have a reason to expect that an investigation will be thorough and there will be some accountability. The answer for over a year from the FBI and Justice has been, it's a pending investigation, we'll tell you nothing about it. Let me ask you a second question. In over a year, has a single person been indicted?
I guess I could answer that because it would be public. There have been no indictments.
There have been no indictments. Now, you also pledged, sitting in that chair, to personally lead vigorously this investigation, personally, regardless of the political consequences. Look, I understand you have a difficult job. There's a reason your job has a 10-year tenure, to give your position meaningful independence from the pressures of politics. Can you tell this committee to date how many White House employees the FBI has interviewed in this investigation?
Yeah, for the reasons I said, I can't tell you who's been interviewed at all.
So the American people have no right to know what's happening other than nothing has happened.
Let's be fair. That's not what he answered. He answered very appropriately, in the same way that appropriately similar answers were given during Republican administrations, and we accepted them.
Mr. Chairman, you're welcome to accept them, and I would note that this IRS targeting correspondence has come out, came in significant regard at the written behest of Democratic members of this body. So I understand that there is not an interest among some members of this body in learning what happened.
Again, you're not responding to what I said at all. I'm just saying that what Mr. Comey has said was an appropriate answer based on the reason he did it. It's nothing to do with how I feel. I don't like the targeting of anybody. But what Mr. Comey said was a correct and appropriate answer.
I would note for the record that when I introduced an amendment before this committee to make it a criminal offense to willfully target American citizens based on their political views, the chairman and every Democratic member of this committee voted against it. Mr. Comey, the Attorney General has appointed to lead this investigation a major Obama donor who's given President Obama and Democrats over $6,000. Do you see any actual or apparent conflict of interest in that?
I don't think that's something else I can comment on.
Do you think it would have been appropriate to trust John Mitchell to investigate Richard Nixon?
I think that's an impossible one for me to answer at this point.
Well, it's an easy question to answer. It would not have been. And the Attorney General has repeatedly been called on to appoint a special counsel with meaningful independence, and I would encourage you to join that call, because the integrity of the Department and the FBI matters, and it matters beyond the political urgencies of the moment. Let me ask one final question. Both you and the Attorney General have repeatedly told this committee that the investigation is a vigorous investigation, despite the fact that no one's been indicted, despite the fact that many of the victims have not been interviewed. 4 days after Attorney General Holder sat in that seat and told this committee it was a vigorous investigation, the President of the United States went on national television and told the American people categorically there was, quote, not a smidgen of corruption in the IRS. Now, the President's statement and the Attorney General's statement 4 days earlier that there was an ongoing vigorous investigation are facially inconsistent. I would ask you, as the head of the FBI, which of those statements was true and which of those statements was false?
One thing I can assure you is that the FBI does not care about anybody's characterizations of a matter. We care only about the facts, and we're passionate about the facts and our independence.
But, Mr. Comey, you have been a lawyer long enough to know when an answer is non-responsive.
Thank you very
Yes,
much,
sir.
Mr. Comey.
And you have not answered the question that I asked.
Senator's time has expired, and I appreciate